Beware the court of owls that watches all the time.
Ruling Gotham from a shadowed perch behind granite and lime.
They watch you at your hearth, they watch you in your bed.
Speak not a whispered word of them.
Or they'll send a talon for your head.
Fuck
yeah!
Fuck yeah, we fuck with
Alright, everybody, welcome back to FYWFWC or Fuck Yeah, We Fuck With Comics. I was thinking of a more, approachable way of, naming our podcast, because it's Fuck Yeah, We Fuck With Comics is a little aggressive to some, so if we do the kind of, Norwegian-sounding FYWFWC. I think that's...
FYWFWC, motherfucker, you speak it?
Welcome back. I am Richard.
I'm Tiffany.
I am Zoe.
I'm Alex.
And I'm Kohlton.
And we are here to talk about some comics. So, for today's issue, we are going to be talking about Batman, the Court of Owls by Scott Snyder. And the artist Greg Capullo, if I remember this correctly?
Capullo.
Yes.
Yeah, he is
That was a fun
friggin'
name
awesome.
to say.
Yeah, Capullo. Yeah. I think what we're going to do is we're just going to do a quick assessment of did we like it or not. I think we're all unanimous in our decision. So I'll just start off with saying, oh my god, I fucking loved it. It was incredible. It was some of the best just writing that I've ever experienced. And what's really interesting about it was that I felt so validated that I was going to pursue comics as my main form of literature these days, because it was incredible. And me just kind of preparing to talk about today's podcast, I was weird how I'm just talking about in my notes recurring motifs and themes and things like that. I'm just and I think that's really important because I think comics often get looked at in a somewhat juvenile perspective. But this is fucking phenomenal, and I adored it.
Because I love Batman as a character and thematically, I love his setting and all that. So when I was going into this, I was figuring, oh, okay, well, it's probably gonna be more of the same as Batman stuff. What I really loved is just I really enjoy things that get very, very psychological very, very quickly. And this comic, you go down the rabbit hole real damn quickly.
You literally do.
Yeah, you literally. And I was so fascinated by that because, with Batman, one of the most quintessential things about him is that, he's a person. That's his shit. He's just a dude in a suit. So, he is fallible and he is very subjected to these kind of psychological traumas, and seeing that unfold in both the art and the stylistic choices that they made, and also just the actual way the story played out. I was in love with that, and I just thought that was so cool. And I've never really seen anything like that in a book or anything that really had that much of an dig in to get into that kind of psychological trauma and stuff. And so I loved it, bottom line. But that's my 2 cents on that.
He's also wicked smart. Well, the reason I appreciated the Court of Owls when I first read it, when it came out in, I think, 2011?
11.
It was 11 or 12 around there.
It was
11.
One of those years.
Yes. It goes into that, original idea of Batman. It's not just before this, Batman was doing crazy Justice League stuff. They set up friggin' Batman Incorporated in 10 million different countries because capitalism. And it's all this crazy fantastical, the goddamn Batman stuff. And then when you read this, it's back to the Gotham City streets, the detective work, the gritty, against the grain, Batman against the group of people that he has to come up against, Talons in this case. And also Bruce Wayne having to finagle his way through the Gotham social scene and make it so that he is not only just seen as this philanthropist, whatever, he has to distance himself from his other persona as much as possible. So, the stuff with Lincoln March and everything in this, it did a phenomenal job of showing that kind of ideal Batman story of he has two personas. He's going to go do this, he's going to go do this, and it's going to get him fucked either way at the end of the day.
He really does walk that line of being two people at once.
He really does.
Constantly.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah, for me, the art was one of the most inspiring things I've seen in a long time, especially for Batman. This is how I think Batman should always be drawn.
Capullo's Batman is the best
Capullo's Batman is the best Batman, especially how he draws the villains is just incredible.
Yeah,
and
good stuff.
And I know he worked on Spawn, and you can see
oh, I didn't know that.
He did, yeah.
You can see with the cape, and especially when he's going down the rabbit hole, how it progressively gets more Spawn, how the cape's ripped, how it just looks, and it's just
tattered and flowy,
and very fantastical and magical, and I just love it so much. So for me, the art more than anything was incredible, but also how he walks the line as Batman and Bruce was done very well. And I just love how we have this again where there's the mayor running and he's involved, and it's a classic. I love it.
I know for me, when I read Court of Owls, it was like I haven't had like feelings towards like a comic book since like the New Teen Titans 1988 issue, like number 27, when Dick told Starfire, like, I think I love you.
Sick name drop, by the way.
But yeah, I like just this is like up there with like, because my favorite graphic novel is V for Vendetta, and I think the writing is like on par with that kind of writing and that kind of plot development, and just what Scott Schneider did to create like something completely original. Like you would think like everything has been done in the Batman universe, but he was like, no, it hasn't. And then he just came out with this completely new plot line, which is now embedded in the Batman continuity, because I do believe that they did adopt Court of Owls as a permanent thing.
Well, yeah, and that's the craziest thing, is that this is literally volume 1 of New 52. This is the first 7 issues of this entire series.
Yeah.
And it like rose to critical acclaim, and anybody can correct me if I'm wrong, if anybody is listening, and if I say something stupid. I think Scott and Greg are one of the very few creative teams for the New 52 that stayed together for the entirety of their run.
Yeah, they did.
There's like people like Green Arrow switched creative teams halfway through. Other books got canceled and stuff like that, but Scott and Greg have always been on Batman.
Yeah.
So it goes to show how just phenomenal of a team they are.
They should always write Batman. That's like
that should be it.
That should be it.
We should be done there.
We just need to lock them in a room.
even though like in the beginning they hated each other.
Give him a Batman mask and just
figure it out.
A pencil,
Just
like,
do it.
and some
Make
toilet
the
paper to harken back to V for Vendetta.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, it was just it's up there with some of my favorite work that has been done. It's phenomenal. It's phenomenal.
And for me, this is like, because we have the trade paperback sitting right in front of us, and this is my copy, and like this was the first time I got into Batman, was this, because someone recommended it to me, and then I became a Batman fan.
Yeah,
it's the perfect jumping on point too.
No, yeah, it's a great, like, if you had to choose a point to jump on, this gives you such a good idea of like, this is Batman. These are the people that are in his life, because you get to meet some very, very integral characters for Batman.
Yeah.
And it did such a good job of like, you can just jump into this one, I feel like, and be like, oh, cool, I automatically understand who this person is, the world that he exists in, because it just roots itself so quickly and just like really pulls you into like, this is Batman, this is also Bruce, these are their lives.
Especially the way that they can introduce these characters without having to be like, oh, like, you know, like Dick walks down and Bruce is like, oh, hey, Dick Grayson, Nightwing, how are you?
Yeah, exactly.
So it's like these things are already established, but in a way that it's easy for new readers to pick up. I completely agree.
Yeah, because it's like it's back to detective comics. Like,
yes.
This is what Batman does. He is a detective, and you see a lot of that in it. And it's like, it's great for first timers, like how I was a few years ago. And like you said, they don't just like, hey, this is Nightwing here.
Yeah.
So what's going on, Batman?
It's me, Robin.
'Tis I.
One of them, anyway.
Yeah, God.
I think what I think is great about this too is the research that went into this comic, not only about like Batman, just about like the whole bat and owl thing in general.
Yeah.
And how they incorporated that into the plot. I was just like,
Well, and there's
goddamn.
little things too, because like look at the idea of the buildings of every Wayne stated building that has the 13th floor removed. That's not even just something superstitious that they made up for the book. There's like, that's a pretty common practice in real life. So it's like, they're not just like, oh, fuck it, comic shit. Like, we're gonna like, you know, they like, you know, they had some real life expertise in there. Like, let's put some like realness into this obviously fantastical story, and you know, just make it so much good from the ground up, literally.
They did an amazing job of really grounding it back to reality and making it feel like, no, Gotham City is like, it is a city. It has a history. It has been around for long enough that these kinds of things pop up naturally, and it just becomes a thing. So I did appreciate that a lot too.
So with that, we've talked about it in fairly vaguely.
Vague terms.
Very vaguely. And
We have cock-teased you enough.
the intention behind that is to ensure that if you haven't read it at this point, you should. You should. It's freaking phenomenal. And if you consider yourself a Batman fan in any incarnation, even if it's just the films, read issue 1. Because I can guarantee you that if you don't want to read more, comics probably aren't for you.
Yeah.
Because it's just freaking incredible. So with that, we have been spoiler free, but I think it's time. I think it's time we start going into the specifics of the events that happen. So beware.
From here on in, it's on you.
Yeah, this is your fault.
Spoiler time.
You did this.
So let's start. I figured the best way that we can go through it is kind of approach it chronologically, so we can see it all go through. So
Tiffany's getting her research.
So let's just start off with the opening scene and how amazing it is.
Yeah.
Yes.
What my favorite thing about it is that it's just another day in the life for Batman.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He is talking as if he's like, oh, hey, did you see the Jets game the other night? But in the meantime, he's like combating every single villain that we've seen him before.
Yeah.
And you just really get this feeling that this is what he does. He combats these awful characters. And in the first couple panels, you see him fighting all of these different villains that we have their own issues.
Yes.
The entire issues centered on one character he's dealing with in matters of minutes.
Yeah.
And I love that because it really, I think it really puts the stakes in place. And
Is that I'm so
Do you
sorry.
know who that is?
That's the for the doll maker, round doll maker.
Yeah, yeah.
Is it doll
Yeah.
maker?
That was my favorite. He's just, if you're wondering what we're looking at right now,
Scarface, I think, is the name
he's-
of the puppet.
the little puppet is up in the corner in the big 2-page spread of all the villains, so it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
it's so cool.
So detailed.
Croc is like trying to show off his pecs, and like near
Croc being
his
the
hand, you see a
stereotypical
little,
American male, he sees something
Yeah.
he can't stand, he just rips his shirt off.
But I love this. I love this so much because we have all of these characters where they were the main antagonists so many different times, and him just dealing with them like they're just common street goons really makes it so when he does deal with future conflict in the future that he can't handle, it makes it seem like that's so much more risky.
Yeah.
Like when he's fighting the Talon later, and he's
Yeah.
like, "Oh, he's like as good as I am." Wait, and so you start thinking about it. It's like, wait, so the Court of Owls, they're capable of doing the same thing that Batman's capable
Yeah,
of.
and
literally.
it gives you a perspective because all, like, however many 10 villains, major villains from all of these comics we've seen before that's nothing compared to this one guy he's fighting in the Court of Owls.
Mm.
Which
Because
is,
what are Two-Face and friggin' Edward Nygma gonna do to him? You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
Nygma's gonna like bore him to death with a riddle, and Two-Face is gonna be like sad and like emotional about his life at him. Like I don't know.
But for me, like Scarecrow in the front, I'm like, that's someone who's like messed with him a lot.
Yeah.
yeah.
So
So
that
it's
was
like,
pretty interesting.
I wanted to take it to like the actual text is saying. Like he opens the scene with like, oh, on the Gotham newspaper they say like there's a section called Gotham Is, and like in the
I
two
forgot
spread
about that,
street, like he says, oh, Gotham is like a losing game, Gotham is villainous, and they name it after the villains, like Gotham is Killer Croc, Gotham is this. But then you see there's a little like panel of Batman's mouth, and it's just like there's no place like home. Like he sees like home is him in Arkham doing what he knows how to do best,
In conflict.
beating some ass.
Yeah.
Like that's home for him. And now it's like the whole plot and the way it spans out, it's like his home is going to be fucked with
Yes.
really, really badly, and he's going to realize it's not only his home. And it's just like such a major foreshadowing like point in that, in just like the first three pages.
First 3 pages.
Like so much foreshadowing for the end. If you reread through it again, there's like so much foreshadowing.
Yeah.
So much.
well, what I love is that, you know, I wasn't thinking about it, obviously, when, like on the first read through that I did, but thinking about it now, I mean, knowing where the next couple pages like lead you to, this is the perfect, like the way that Batman is narrating, you know, saying Gotham is this, blah, 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 blah. It perfectly leads you into getting back into who Bruce Wayne is as well, because, I mean, one, you know, obviously in the next couple pages we get back to Bruce Wayne, but for now you get to really see this great, you know, discourse between this is Batman and this is a day in the life for Batman, which is dealing with these horribly insane human beings.
Yep.
And just, it's a walk in the park. It's just another day, as you know, as everyone said. And then I just love the juxtaposition between that and then moving that just into, and now I'm just casually, you know, I'm in a really nice suit and I'm in a really nice place. And,
Who needs sleep?
yeah, no, who needs sleep? Sleep is for the weak.
So the moment where I knew that I was going to love this issue and the entire storyline is in, I think, in a couple of pages where you see the Joker And you see the Joker, and you see him with his fucking grin, and he's doing there. And I think the first line he says is "took you long enough," something along those lines. And does he say anything like that?
He says, "There you
There,
are."
like,
Yeah.
and I can hear it, like
Yeah.
the Mark Hamill voice.
Yes,
There you are.
Yeah. And
And-
I love it.
And this is pre-face removal Joker as well.
Yeah, this is
just barely pre. Yeah.
Pre.
And then on the next page, you see Joker helping Batman in a fight.
And that was like such a fan moment that
Yes.
came out of me.
oh
I
my
was just like,
God.
they're fighting together. It's happening.
I stopped. Like I
Yeah.
stopped reading, and I was just like, "What in the fuck?" I think I may have Snapchatted because I was like live Snapchatting you guys. I was like
Yeah.
going through, and I was like, "What's going on?" And that was so cool. And that once again, like, had that foreshadowing where it's just like, okay, this story, it's going to be going places where we haven't seen before, and there's going to be these weird things happening, and it's something that I've never even heard of before. Of
Yeah.
the Joker and Batman fighting alongside one another, and even the villains are like, "What in the fuck's happening?"
Yeah, Killer Croc is like, you piece of shit.
Yeah, and it's so good, and
I know
it's-
that's Plasma.
it just makes you like really excited, but also unsure what's going to happen, and that's awesome.
And then we
I
find
can-
out what really is the Joker.
Yeah, and you can go
Yeah.
ahead and,
Yeah,
and
and
reveal that.
it's Dick, is it not?
Yeah.
Or-
Yeah, it's
Dick.
Dick Joker.
Yeah.
Oh,
Best friend.
I love it
strong.
when
My
we-
aesthetic.
Actually, if we can jump back to that page really quick, a good way to tell if it's not the Joker is look at his text bubble and see what the font is for his.
Yeah, because isn't the
Oh, that's
Joker's
right,
text
it's
always like
It's
squiggly.
usually very
Yeah.
janky and like
Yeah.
it's like guttural. You can tell that it's so. This is just clean regular Comic Sans. So that's a good little
You know
trick.
how
That's really
I
good.
told by the drawing of how he was fighting. It was very acrobatic
That
for what
too,
I
yeah,
had,
I
and
mean,
I was like,
Joker is
That's
obviously
my
surprisingly
baby.
spry, but he's not. He's
Yeah,
no
that's why I was
Dick
really
Grayson.
yeah,
confused. I
he's
was
no
really
Dick
reading it.
Grayson in the way he fights.
Yeah, no, that was something interesting that I noticed when I was reading through it, and now that I'm actually like really looking at it, looking at the Joker fighting, there's also so many times where you see classic Batman and the person who used to be Robin.
Yeah.
You see that because I mean, there's the panel where
Mhm.
they're holding hands, and Batman's literally using him as like a fulcrum to like spin the Joker around.
Yeah.
That is a move that is been done many times
Like
before.
the behind you got him. Like that's very
It, like,
dynamic
It's so
duo.
in sync.
And that's
Yeah.
what I love is that as soon as I saw those two panels, I was like, that's not right.
Yeah.
That doesn't make any sense. What the hell is going on here?
But you had that doubt.
Yes.
You had the doubt
Yeah.
where it's like, this can't be like there. What circumstances led to this? Like, is that even the Joker, or like what? Like maybe there is something going on where they would be fighting each other. So what's
Yeah.
at stake? And it's just like that doubt that you have. You start writing the story.
I also just
in your
realized this
head.
is nothing pivotal to the story, but Riddler's a fucking nerd and he has a question mark.
Yeah.
shaped on the top
Oh,
of his
yeah.
head.
He's a giant
I
nerd.
never noticed that.
Yeah, his
That's
hair
hilarious.
is a question mark, and he has tattoos on the side.
to bring
Oh,
it back to
man.
what you were just saying, Richie, it was funny because in that exact moment, I was writing the story. I was like, okay, like that doesn't make any sense. How are they so in sync with each other? And I was like, then again, these are two people who have been going at each other for years and years and years. They know all of each other's moves. They have to.
They are two
Yeah.
sides.
There's so many
Yeah, no,
so many
exactly.
implications.
Well, that's the thing. It had so many implications because I was like, Jesus,
like
I-
this
blah.
pen right here.
And I loved it because it does go back to that whole they're the two sides of the same coin thing. They complete each other more or less. Where
Yeah.
and it was just that brief moment where I was like, if this is like the Joker and Batman, like God help anyone if they were actually ever to like for any conceivable reason have to team up with one another. Like in
Yeah.
actuality,
Funny enough, there actually is a series that's not. It's pretty recent actually. It's called Batman Europa, and I think it's I'm not too sure. I haven't read it, but I know that I think Joker poisons him or something, and they need to work together, or they both get poisoned, something like that, where they need to get an antidote, and they're traveling through Europe in different different countries. And I heard it's really good. The art is really good. I haven't read it yet, but that's something that.
we'll have to check right that because I would love to see.
Yes,
through
no, yeah,
that.
that's like the one thing I can think of where they like pseudo team up for whatever
But
reason.
this is like like I was saying earlier, how this is such an integral issue that you get so well into. Like this is Batman. Like it's such a good introductory thing because you see the entire cast
and you see what he's
Yeah.
capable of too.
and you see what he's capable of, and you see what a lot of the people that he deals
Like
with. And
this
all that
panel
kind
of him
stuff.
just straight up punching Basil Carlo, Clayface in the face, like
Yeah,
It's just, and I have to say, Greg Capullo does a good Clayface. He
Yeah.
draws a good anything, really.
Yeah.
but-
No,
Yeah.
because
He's
the
amazing.
art and all of that with all those
I love his
villains
art, yeah.
are so detailed, and he's not afraid to be gross.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like all the
For sure.
body hair.
I mean, Greg
on
Capullo
them
could
and,
draw a
like,
piece of shit and it would look beautiful.
Exactly.
You know, so it's like,
And I mean, the next couple of panels, it's just it's again grounding it back to this is a great introductory thing because you automatically get to see Gordon, you get to
Gordon
see
the
Batman,
cigarette.
you get to see Batman and Gordon and their relationship and how that continually plays out.
And
that
how
continued setting.
comfortable it is.
Yes,
Yeah.
It's like, oh, hey,
it's
buddy.
a familiar
it's-
thing.
Yeah.
It's
them
like two
catching a
cop
beer after the
buddies.
game.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like literally he tells him, he's like, tell me I didn't see you fighting alongside the Joker. That's ridiculous. And just Batman's like, Jim, that's completely ridiculous. It's just like, it's just like this
Jim,
sort
you're
of-
as Robin said once, cray.
And what I loved too is that this line is such shitty foreshadowing, and I fucking love it. It's just as soon as Batman's like, "That's ridiculous, Jim." Jim's response is, "That's what I figured. Just a simple trick of the light." And then you get a couple pages further, and you realize that that's literally what it is. And I was like, ah. That was me flipping the table. I know you guys can't
May I
see
please
me
have the
overacting,
comic?
but
Yes, no problem. But yeah, so then it goes into, it has this big double page spread
Batcave.
of the Batcave and like there's so many little things like the dinosaur,
Fucking
the
dinosaur
Robin
mess.
outfit, there's the Batman history, the card. There's all these things in here, the multiple Batmobiles that are like Scott is saying, I know, and Greg too are saying, we know of these things. Like we are aware of what happened, and we want you guys to know this.
yeah.
Tiffany
And,
is literally
Okay.
petting the page.
Yeah, let's go to the.
in a cute corner with Tiffany. On a couple of pages later on the panel, you see my babies, the Bat family,
is
the
so
Bat boys,
important.
It's
and
so
it's like
important.
literally, it's the cutest panel you will find in this whole comic.
Yeah, I mean we joke, but it's actually a really
It's
great,
really great
little
introducing
moment.
the boys. Because then you have Bruce, you have Dick, you have Tim, who currently I believe is with the Teen Titans at this time, but comes back every now and
I'm
then.
Yeah,
sorry,
it says
Tim is with the Teen Titans.
current
right?
Yeah,
Red
because
Robin,
he's
Teen
Red Robin
Titans
at this time,
member.
and then you have baby Damien.
Yeah, basically in this continuity, because Flashpoint, Barry stuck his dick in the timeline again, and so
Barry.
in this,
Barry.
in the New 52, Tim was never Robin; he was always Red Robin.
Yeah.
Yeah,
He was Bruce's protege and everything, but he was never referred to as Robin. And I guess they kind of did that to make it more meaningful for Dick to pass it on to Damien.
Yeah.
Which is fine. That doesn't, whatever. So it's like, but a lot of people had a gripe with that. I didn't, because there was a series before that New 52 ever came out called Red Robin, where I think Bruce was dead at this point, and Tim was wearing a cowl very similar to Bruce's.
Yeah.
It had no horns on it though. He looked like a bird,
Yeah.
and it was great. So that was kind of like what they were harkening back to.
But even with it's so cute because you find out the boys' personalities like immediately just
Yeah.
through simple dialogue. Because you have Damien and Tim kind of going at each other because they just fucking hate each other.
Dick is calm
and Dick is just like, ah ha ha, and
Like,
it's
I'm
just
good,
like
guys.
it's like so it's just cute.
Also notice the red on Dick's vest.
Yes.
That was another thing I was going to point out, is that what I love too is that the Bat family is so indicative of each of their personalities, just alone in what they're wearing. You look at Dick. He's got the red vest on. He's got that one single pop to separate himself from the rest of the members of the family, because
Yeah.
that's a
Also, he
quintessential
totally
thing.
would. He's freaking
He totally would. He's such a fucking diva. And then I also love that you have little baby, and he's the only person not wearing dress shoes.
Yeah, he's wearing
He's wearing
sneakers.
sneakers.
In
So
his
his
defiance, he's
personality.
wearing a pair of sneakers. Because Lord knows Batman, of course, has a pair of tailored fucking shoes for him.
right?
But he has to set his own thing and saying, no, I'm not going to do that. That's stupid. They're not comfortable, and I hate them.
And
So of course
Yeah.
he wears tennis shoes.
And also the body language of everyone,
Mhm.
like how Damien's looking up to Bruce because he looks up to his dad, and and Dick is back there, hands in pockets, chill, because he's very comfortable in his position, and he's not, and they're all in this circle looking up at each other. So
And
the
I
eye, like,
love
rolls around.
I love how this is a very small thing, but Red Robin fussing over,
Yeah,
Yes.
Tim is such a middle child. It's hilarious.
he's such a
Yeah.
middle child.
It's just like-
Seeing him fuss over, what is his little brother, and it's showing, harking back to, this is the person who's on the team. He's on a team of people.
Yeah.
He's done this before. So, he's gotten into that role, kind of being the mother hen in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
And he just can't turn it off, and I love that.
Also, is it a requirement if you're adopted by Batman to have black hair and look exactly like him?
Yeah, no, I guess.
Just,
It kind
I'm
of.
sure a lot of
Just a little
orphans look
bit.
different.
Just a little bit. No, but I wanted to comment. I think Tim is fussing with his. It
It's
looks
like his
like he's
little
fussing
polish.
with a suit or
The color?
cough, and Bruce is also fussing with the suit because I always. Every time I see Tim, I'm like, oh, Tim is the person who will most likely like be a lot like Batman in the detective aspect. Like he wants to be
so glad you
Bruce,
mentioned that, 'cause I was gonna
like
say
in that way, and like their suits are identical.
Yep.
Yeah,
The carbon copy.
Yeah.
So it's just like you could tell, like, oh, Tim is the one that will, if he were to ever become Batman, he would probably fit the detective part 100%
And
perfectly.
Bruce also kind of looks like he's struggling with his bow tie. I'm sure he's capable of doing it, no problem. But you know it's a million times better when Alfred does it.
Yeah.
You know, so it's like he's kind of just like fuck whatever, I'll do this. But like it's like you can there's like such little like good things in the art that can
There's, and this is the thing. We're extrapolating all of these little details. We're extrapolating all of this information just from a piece of art. And you say, oh, Alfred's always had his tie, so he does it. My mentality, the reason why I think he's struggling with it is his hands are probably like broken
That's
or
a- yeah,
tired,
that's another
point, yeah.
punching Clayface in the face. So his knuckles are probably like he probably doesn't have
He probably
fine
has
motor control.
That's a really good
arthritis at this
observation. I never even
point.
thought about that.
Some kind of
If he has even
arthritis.
any bones left at this
That's
point,
also
he probably
true.
has no cartilage. The poor guy.
I know.
But
That's probably
it's
true.
just-
His choice. Okay.
Wait, who, Bruce or Basil Harlow?
Bruce.
Oh, okay.
This is
Pictures too.
Yeah.
this is what I specifically remember that I Snapchatted you guys this because this panel was so fucking important to me because it also gave you this kind of, in one panel it did all the storytelling as well as gave you a little dramatis personae, so that way you see as things proceed forward you're like, oh okay, yeah, I understand that Nightwing is kind of doing his own thing but he still answers to Batman and Bruce. And then you see Damian Wayne, who is the current Robin, and we've always known that to be, he is the Batman sidekick.
Yeah.
Robin is the Batman sidekick. And we see this Red Robin role where he kind of has earned his own title because he's just really good. And
Yeah.
I think the introduction of Tim, if I remember correctly, I heard someone else talking about it, was that he just deduced that
Literally,
Yeah, he
Bruce
literally
was Batman.
like came up to him and he was like,
Oh,
"You're Batman," and
He-
Bruce was just like,
I think he actually showed up at the cave or at
Yeah.
something, and he's not an orphan, or he wasn't an orphan.
he wasn't at the
at
time,
the
and then he
time,
did become
his
an
father was
Well, it
murdered
has to
by.
happen. If you're
um,
anywhere connected to Bruce Wayne, you gotta be
you're
an
gonna have
orphan.
tragedy, yes.
You have to have
Yeah, his
tragedy.
father was murdered by Captain Boomerang, and
I didn't know that.
yeah, so like that's how Tim ended up becoming very much a bat son by having his parents murdered.
I know we should move on from the panel. I'm just going to say one more thing. Art-wise, why this is so visually appealing. The pops of color, like you mentioned, the shoes, like Damien's shoes are red. The vest on Dick is red, but it's repetition, and also they did an odd number. So like in art, that's why it's appealing. So the door is red, the vest is red. That's 2. 3 the shoes, 4 the curtains, 5 the rug.
Oh, that's what I never even. Yeah, so like you can tell who's the
That's a
artist in the room
totally
because
valid
like I look at, I'm like, this is pretty, and then like,
let me
It's
tell
like-
you why it's pretty.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm here for. But
And
yeah,
it's funny because then you have all the black in just that's 4, which is that's so cool.
and that's all just like so your eye goes straight to the middle, and there are the boys, and I'm done
Yes.
with the panel.
This is every fangirl's fan fiction dream.
no, but
Yeah,
really.
this-
Choose your flavor.
this page makes the Tumblr rounds.
I like the
definitely.
cherry.
And then
one.
on the next page, we get to what I was talking about earlier, where you get to see Bruce as Bruce, not
The
as
socialite.
Batman,
Yeah.
as the socialite, where the dialogue that he was doing at the start of the comic is now bleeding in. And
Beautifully
it's
done.
great because you get to see that this is a man who's capable of keeping this kind of running narration in his own head. He can multitask so many things.
Speaking of multitasking, if we just go to the point where sorry, I'm trying to find the page. He literally lip reads Gordon
Yes.
while he's talking to the mayor,
Yeah.
and having to keep that conversation up, but pay attention to what Gordon's doing is like.
Like there have been
Crazy.
times where to come back to Superman, where Clark and Kohlton just rolled his eyes.
Why you gotta start this now? We're having such a nice time, Alva.
It's
I'll
just one
keep the
little.
tally.
It's one little interjection. Clark and Bruce will have secret conversations with each other, where Clark will Bruce will speak at like the most smallest decibel like possible,
Yeah.
and Bruce will hear it, and then Clark will read Bruce's lips.
Mhm.
So it's like this is like one little reference to that. I think that's great. That's like like those little things that this is Bruce Wayne, the fucking extraordinaire. I can do whatever the hell I want to like figure things out, and it's great.
And
It's not forced either. It's not like
No.
it's not some
Yeah,
Deus
no.
Ex like you can do it. It makes complete and utter sense that he, as this person who is in a room with people all the time and wants to know what they're saying, he can read lips. Why not?
Yeah.
It's perfect.
And to take it back a few panels, to the page after the Bat Fam panel, when Bruce is giving like his big speech, there's like so much foreshadowing in that dialogue alone.
Yeah.
When he's like talking about this city and the image and how like he wants to make the city better, and like it literally
Make Gotham great
says,
There's a lot of foreshadowing with
Yeah.
those 4 characters in specific too.
yeah, and like the specific quote that I want to pick from is because he says on the 5th panel, it says, "Now why am I telling you this? Well, friends, my point is this. When circumstances are challenging or frightening, asking ourselves what our city is pointless. Because all we will see when we look around at the buildings and streets will be our own fears, our own frustrations, our own demons." And that's just like literally, that's the fucking plot of this
Yes, you're projecting.
goddamn, like, fucking book. Like, that's the whole plot.
Bruce, you jinxed it.
That's another reason why this one is so, like, from a writing standpoint, is so incredible, because
Yeah.
they literally, within the first couple of pages, they're like, this is the story.
Yeah.
Bruce literally tells you the
the
story
story.
within the first couple of pages. And, like, you don't register it, obviously, because it's foreshadowing and you don't necessarily understand that. And as you just go along, you're like, ah!
Yeah.
Quick interjection, and something that I didn't realize until now, and I don't know if it was supposed to be obvious, but it's just like Bruce is rehearsing his speech for this socialite gathering
While he's beating the shit out of
Yeah.
He's just like, he's going over what he's going to be saying. And
Multitasking.
yeah, I know, and that's just so hilarious that he not only is working on this, he's like punching Clayface in the mouth, but he's just like, oh yeah, I have to be giving a speech in 2 hours. I should probably have something to say about it.
The ultimate wing it.
And another thing is just like, it's this idea that we've kind of had this thing going on before, but Gotham is alive.
Yes.
In this issue, Gotham's a character.
Yeah.
And it's a character that Bruce says, well, if all else fails, at least I know everything about Gotham.
Yeah.
And these
He
cities are
legitimately
huge.
says that. Yeah.
Like, Gotham and Metropolis specifically are ginormous. It's ridiculous how big they are.
No, I was
Damn it.
looking at stuff. And...
He said Metropolis, and I was waiting for you to.
No.
He can not like the character and still enjoy the place he's from.
I think the city is aesthetically cool.
The city of tomorrow. But yeah, like, the city is giant. It's crazy how big it is, and the fact that Bruce Wayne has literally memorized every nook and cranny of this place, not necessarily just from like he sat down and looked at a map. He's been there.
Yeah.
Every night of
He
his
knows
life.
all the rooftops.
He is there every single time, and it's just crazy. And it goes into that whole, and then a few pages later, when we get exposed to the plot of the story of Bruce Wayne specifically is being targeted by what is called the Court of Owls, and he is talking with Lincoln March, and they're in the elevator, and it opens, and suddenly assassin, and
Yeah. So we're jumping a little bit, but yeah.
It goes into that.
I mean, we should, because like we
We
spent a
should,
lot of
we
time.
spent a
And
lot of
it's-
time.
it's-
But the beginning is very
the beginning and the
so
ending
important.
are the most important things.
Yeah.
That part with the assassination, what I thought was interesting was I thought it was a setup.
like Bruce set it up to make it look
No,
like...
I thought the mayor
I
set
thought
to
it was-
assassinate Bruce, and he was involved. But then the twist is he's not involved. He's like literally just there.
Because he stabs Lincoln
So-
right there.
Yeah.
So quick 2-sentence thing that we can use to kind of like fast forward a little bit is that after the party, Bruce sees Gordon talking over, and he realizes that there's a call. He goes to the call, and there is something written on oil or gasoline.
Paint thinner.
Paint thinner, thank you.
Yeah.
And where they light it, and it says Bruce Wayne will die tomorrow, which is very interesting because in all these instances, we always see Batman being the target.
Right.
Yeah.
But then we kind of see Bruce kind of being a little bit more defensive, a little off kilter, because it's not Batman that they're going for; it's Bruce.
Yeah.
And where he's trying to figure out why he painted this target on himself, and it's alluding to these big changes that he says.
And there's
he's gonna be
the
making in
corpses
city.
there as well, right? The
Yeah,
corpse.
the court's all
And
stabbed.
it's stabbed into the bone, and that's like no typical MO of any of his villains. And that
Yeah.
was kind of the point of that, was they're going to show like this is not anybody we've ever seen before.
Yeah.
I mean, sure, Victor Zsasz cuts people up to shreds and stuff like that, but nobody has done it to this extent of like just gets you right into your bones, all out throughout your body. It's
targets
gruesome.
all the main arteries, so it's
Right.
interesting. Very quick side note, the panel where they show the body with all the knives in it, there's like missions in Arkham Knight. You probably
Yes,
remember them.
yeah.
And
So
they look exactly the same.
very
how they're
similar, yeah.
placed. Yeah.
you have to find a serial killer. Did you finish the mission for that?
Yeah.
Yeah, you have to find a serial killer who's leaving bodies around Gotham, and it ends up being a man named Professor Pig. And he is like just like brutalizing these bodies and like making these weird like zombie puppet dudes. They're not zombies, but they're just weird, fucked up. That panel is very, like Zoe said,
that
very
panel looks
reminiscent
exactly
of it. Yeah.
like when you go through the game and find them. So that was my quick side note. Keep
Okay,
going.
and then I wanted to say there's a point too where the Court of Owls, like, they have a sign and it's an Athenian owl. And then if you're like me and you really pay attention to the text, like Bruce knows that the Athenian owl is an ancient Greece symbol for wealth and power. That's the Court of Owls.
Yeah.
Like, and that's like, there's so much, like, I cannot get over how much foreshadowing there is. And then you're exposed to the nursery rhyme of Gotham when you were younger. And just the fact that Bruce, like, is like, I know it. It's not that. It's not, like, he's so, like, in denial because he doesn't want to, because, like, I've noticed Bruce, like, whenever he fights, I think it's when he fights one of the gangs, when he's trying to figure out how the owl got into the tower, or how the Talon got into the tower to try to defeat him, he says, like, get out of my tunnels.
Yeah.
Get out of my city. Like, he's so possessive
Of Gotham.
that he doesn't realize that there's a possibility he might not know everything.
Yep.
About it.
Like, Gotham didn't start when Batman came.
Yeah.
And that's what the Court of Owls is, like, essentially trying to send the message, like, yo,
We were doing this before you were
before
alive.
you were even born.
I like we're finally going to a time before the Waynes were like, you know, like it's not just the Waynes that are involved.
Yeah, there was a Cobblepot.
Yes, there's so much more
which
going on.
you see talked about in great length in the Gates of Gotham, which is something I would love for us to read because that's a Nightwing adventure, which is super cool and it's awesome. So we're gonna
As Tiffany raises her fist in the air with excitement.
My baby.
But yeah, I mean, so I don't want to like gloss over certain key components, but it's just the assassination attempt. There is a point where it's the mayor.
It's
the candidate, right?
Lincoln March. He's
Lincoln
running.
March.
Yeah, he's running for mayor.
Which
and
I love him as a foil to Bruce.
Oh yeah.
Where it's just like they have very, very similar stories, and if Lincoln decided to be focusing on the socialite aspect of himself, where he's just like, oh, I'm going to change Gotham by being out in the open. I'm going to be this shining beacon for all these people, whereas Bruce took his trauma and turned it inwards.
Yes.
And then he's like, well, you take care of the day, I'll take care of the night.
Yeah.
And I'm going to be out when no one else wants to be, making sure that it's safe for everyone.
Yeah.
And Lincoln and Bruce have this really interesting conversation where Lincoln literally is just like, you know, you could use a friend, like nudge, nudge, wink, wink. And like what you said earlier, I can see why you would think that. It makes sense that why you would think that the mayor planned that hit on Bruce.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because he's saying all these weird cryptic crap, and then Lincoln gets stabbed himself. So it's an interesting thing.
There are some panels where I couldn't tell, like, when I was reading it again. Like, you can't tell which one's Bruce or Lincoln, like, at some points, because there's...
Those have read City of Owls, y'all know what's up.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah,
Just
they're very similarly drawn, and they have very similar backstories, so I thought that was interesting.
I also love...
All right, we get it.
Okay.
In the assassination attempt, I think there was a moment where Bruce is like, oh, yeah, I could defend my... Okay, so while he's talking to Lincoln, this fucking badass, like, looking assassin guy comes out.
Best costume ever.
It's so cool.
So cool.
It's like
Best mask design.
pseudo like steampunky, and it's really freaking badass.
Awesome.
And I think there's a line, I don't remember exactly where it is, but Bruce is like, oh, I could defend myself this way, but you know that will just broadcast
right, yeah.
that I'm an amazing fighter. So I'm just gonna go
strikes that look like lucky blows.
Exactly.
That's the line.
Yeah, thank you. That's exactly what it is. And like that's terrifying.
Yeah.
That he can like slow down time enough where he can process exactly how he needs to do this fight to not only stay alive but maintain his cover.
That was a Sherlock moment for me.
Yeah, that's
that was
what
a
it
Sherlock
is.
moment for me.
And that was so fucking cool.
Yeah.
We see all of the strengths that Bruce has in this comic and all the resources that he is able to accumulate, and at the end of the day, it's his knowledge.
Yeah.
It's his being able to know more than anyone possibly could that lets him survive. So when he falls out of the building with the assassin, he knows, oh, I can survive this fall because there's a specific golem here. And it's so cool.
So, when he does get pushed out of the building, it's so different. The Batman comics are typically dark, dingy, dark colors, but it's so light and it's so airy. and there's this one point, I don't know what the page number is, but there's 3 panels on the top and bottom, and in the middle, it's literally Bruce just flying with the assassin coming at him, and it just, like, it breaks boundaries because it's so, like, makes it so airy and open.
Yeah.
And I just thought
That was
well
something
done.
that I did notice about that particular segment that I really loved, is that, I mean, normal Batman is dark, confined spaces, generally speaking, and this was just literally just
daylight.
white. Just a lot of white and just
Yeah.
really bright yellow and just really, really warm colors. And I love the juxtaposition between that, and I love the juxtaposition because this is the world that Bruce lives in. Is the world of sunshine and people and things like that. Whereas Batman is, you know, the confined spaces, the darkness, all that kind of good stuff.
The Dark Knight.
Yeah, exactly. And I just loved that.
She said it.
What I love is that it's this weird. It's where you get to this weird like duality thing where it's just like Batman and Bruce are the same person, but they're also not some of the time, and like so yeah. And I just love the fact that you get to see Bruce being dragged, air quotes, dragged into Batman's world, more or less. And I just thought that was such an interesting moment.
Really quick thing. That specific panel that you mentioned, Zoe, it's like somewhat divine.
It is.
Like it looks like it can be painted on a chapel, where it's just like these two figures. Like it looks like this like cosmic,
like those Greek paintings.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
Yeah.
It looks like this cosmic battle between good and evil. And what I also love about it is that it's kind of a weird role reversal for Bruce, because it's typically Bruce is the one in the mask punching his target.
Yeah.
And then you see this juxtaposition of this character we know nothing about, but is just as good a fighter as Batman, coming at this guy. He has his target locked in, and it's just like what I love about the comic is so much is that it's perpetually Bruce trying to get his footing. And he's so uncomfortable with the situation because he doesn't know. He hasn't assessed this character before. He doesn't know anything about it. He feels like a rookie again. But what's more frustrating is that he's like, damn it, I'm not a rookie. Like I'm so good at this. Why can't I figure this out?
PP standing up.
Yeah, it's so cool. So
no hands.
I think Nava, you want to say something about the next page?
Yeah, so basically that goes back into the idea of Bruce being so knowledgeable of the city in literally every nook and cranny when him and this Talon are falling from the top of this tower, and the Talon falls to a supposed death, whereas Bruce is completely aware of this gargoyle that is like not completely like noticeable, and he catches his footing, and this amazing panel of him standing on top of the gargoyle, looking down. He has glass in him, and it's great. And that goes back to the idea of the knowledge that he has of this giant city.
And for the specific panel too, it's like he's falling as Bruce, but when he stands up on that gargoyle,
Batman.
he's
That's
Batman without the
Batman.
cowl. He's Batman without the cowl.
And it's dark. It's dark
it's back
again.
to
And it's
being the
dark.
dark
And it's like
confined-
he's already went into that.
And no one can see me, so
Persona.
I can be myself right now.
Yeah,
And now that I'm myself,
literally.
I'm beating
Is
you.
anybody looking for? I'm gonna scowl now.
And then we have the car that.
And then we figure out that the Talon is indeed alive, like has some regenerative abilities.
I swear, if I was an EMT, that would be my biggest fear. Is that like some person like just wakes up and tries to kick my ass?
Oh my
in the
god,
ambulance.
yeah, no. Oh.
And then we get a flashback, which I really do enjoy the flashbacks back to like 1922. In the Nightwing comics, they go back to the same
They're always ping-ponging
thing.
in
They
the...
always do that. And I think it's just beautiful. And you have Alan Wayne, not Alan Wayne. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
it's
Alan
Alan
Wayne.
Wayne. It's
You have Alan Wayne going crazy, and he's like, they're after me, they're everywhere. There's nests, and it's just like, it's so beautiful.
And
It's
then
like-
what all these flashbacks tie into, and who the very important person is that you find out at the end. I'll wait until we get there a little later.
Yeah,
But I'm sure
so-
Tiffany was a big fan of that.
I was.
But it's like there's like almost this genetic fear that all the Waynes have of these
Anybody of
owls
the
now.
upper class.
Yeah, but like it's passed down. you know
It's
what
something
I mean?
that I was thinking about, and it really, again, I'm forced to make my own story, and it's just like, well, how did Alan figure out these guys? Was Alan this also like? Did he take the Lincoln Marsh socialite route? Was Alan fucking roughing up people in alleyways, figuring things out? Like, you
Was
don't
Alan
know.
just crazy? Like,
Exactly.
Like he's wearing that like shitty Batman costume from like the 20s they did in those, not 20s, but the you know when they did the
Yeah,
I know
Yeah,
exactly
yeah,
what you're
and he's
talking
like
about.
so
And you're right. There is this great idea of legacy,
Yeah.
which you see in multiple incarnations of the legacy of the court, the legacy of the Graysons, the
Yeah.
legacy of the Waynes.
and that entire idea is my absolute favorite thing about comics in general. If I had to pick one thing, it's the idea of legacy. And it's like all these characters, you know, there's more than one. Like look at in the Marvel side, Wolverine is a title. Hulk is a title. Captain America is a title.
Yeah, it's a mantle.
Yeah, so it's like when you see these things happen with these characters that you love, it's just, I don't know, there's something about it that just gets me, man. I'm like,
So we go through a few more panels. Does anybody want to discuss when he fights the gangs, trying to find out?
Yeah, but basically Batman does his Batman things. He's like,
he goes through like the low level people.
Yeah,
like,
he's like, I'm trying to figure out why there's an assassin attempt made in my life, and I'm narrowing it down to one of these 4 tunnels where they could have like came to me from, and there's different gangs in each tunnel.
Yeah,
and he's like basically systematically knocks them out until he gets to the one where he actually figures something out.
Yeah.
Alfred gives him some sass as usual.
Because Alfred is actually the most perfect character.
Alfred, where are my grandchildren at? Anywhere?
No, but really. Oh my gosh, I love it so much.
Bruce, you've given me grandchildren. I'm so happy.
When you gonna settle down and get a wife?
And then
You need to
go
stop
on.
this.
He
Lincoln
visits,
Talk.
he visits Lincoln,
There's
and then
a-
Lincoln tells him about the owls again. The
Really
court.
quick, there's a what if issue of Batman where to felicitate Bruce's fucked up psyche and like his like idea of like I need to go fight crime. Alfred is the Joker. And you see,
Oh my
yeah, I remember
God.
he puts on makeup in the mirror, and then he said he would just look in the mirror until he started laughing, and then the last panel is like the typical Joker, like you know. So
That's really fucked
Oh.
up.
yeah,
Yeah,
no,
I didn't
it's-
like that at all.
I don't like it either. I hate it, but it's a little thing that happened.
And then we go into Batman, Mr. Detective. He's
Yeah.
being the detective. He's searching, and then we're at the part where he starts finding all the nests,
Yes.
and they're all in Wayne-owned.
And this is one of my favorite parts of the story.
I fucking love this part of the story.
So the nests being the Court of Owls hangouts or hideouts.
The Talons.
Talons,
Sorry,
hideouts.
yeah.
the Talons
Talons
specifically, which are the
the assassins
for the
employed
court.
from the Court of
Court
Owls.
of Owls.
and they're
And he
everywhere.
finds generations of these hideouts.
Yep.
Just and they're all on the 13th, the supposedly
and he
13th
finds
floor.
this is where he finds Alan Wayne's body, right? Or is it Alan Wayne? Yeah, because he finds a corpse eventually. I think there was
I
another.
think
No,
it's a Talon's body. I want to say.
Let's find out.
Yeah, because I remember there being it was like in a sewer or something, and the body was so degraded that they had to figure out what it was.
Oh no,
Alan.
that was
Alan,
Alan Wayne.
right?
It was
Yeah.
Alan.
And then also, I love when you get to this panel where you just see the Talon agent with his owl, because they have to have owls,
Yes.
and you see Batman in a position that you don't traditionally get to see Batman in, which is, oh fuck, I missed a lot.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, he legitimately says they're in our homes. They are in our is
Well-
Alan Wayne at that point.
Yeah, and like
Like
that,
he comes to this realization.
that first page where it talks about home, and then
Yeah.
later they break into Wayne Manor.
Manor.
Yeah.
And it's just like home is such a crazy like good theme in this entire story.
Yeah.
Do you feel safe also is another great theme.
Yeah.
But I just love the fact that you get this Talon agent who's just like, yeah, no, I knew you were going to be here this entire time.
And he's just
They're
calmly
3
watching the
steps.
world burn.
Yeah.
Yeah,
He's
they're
just
3
good.
steps ahead of him.
But that panel with him and the owl, you realize how freaking good the mask design is.
Oh,
for
yeah.
them, and just how easily
I
they
was
drew
trying
from
my
it.
part. I was
It's-
trying to find it last night when I got home, but I couldn't find it for the life of me. I have this issue. I have a number 1 issue of they did a spinoff called Talon, and it's about a guy named Calvin Rose who was inducted as a young child to be in the Court of Owls and blah
Oh,
blah.
I think that's in Batman
And-
versus Robin.
Is it really?
I believe
That's awesome. I did not know that. That's really cool.
So he's the Talon.
He's and he's like an escape artist kind of guy, and basically he was
That's
the
really
first
cool.
person to escape the maze.
Yeah.
And so he escapes though from their like crutches before getting that invulnerability serum, whatever the hell crap.
He is in
So-
Batman versus Robin.
So he has the training of the Talon, like he has all of this physical prowess, but he just doesn't have the
Immortality.
the immortality or the mental loyalty to the court, and it's really interesting. And I'm bummed I couldn't find it, but yeah, that's a cool little spinoff they did. If you like the costume design,
So while Batman's investigating, the Talon totally fucking blows up the building that Batman's in.
Just another day.
Yeah.
Super casual.
Super
Another
Casual.
day at home.
like it only shows his head, but I want to believe he's got like a Snickers in his hand, like and, like he just.
I also love how his owl just looks like a dick.
Isn't he really? He
His
looks,
owl looks like more of a dick than him.
Like, I love that the owl is just looking at him just like, that peasant tried to touch me.
that owl tried to speak to the manager.
Yes.
Like it's ridiculous.
It's beautiful. I just really love this panel. Oh god. Okay, and then
But then we see. Can you read that first line of dialogue when
Right here?
when Bruce is jumping out of the building?
Yeah.
Oh shit! Oh fuck! 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 Shit! Oh shit!
most people assume the danger of a trip wire lies in the blast. And it says not so.
So like this entire
He's so dramatic and poetic.
These two pages where he's like, oh, this building's coming down, but let me just like again, this person should be dead. One, and this person should be panicked. Two, but no, he's like, oh, dang it, okay. Yeah, this building's exploding. All right, they got
this
a better
is a mild
on me.
inconvenience.
This is a mild inconvenience, but this isn't going to get
He
me.
literally says on the next page, I was inspecting this one, the most recent, when the tripwire went off. Lucky for me,
Yeah.
I don't scare easily. Like, what the fuck,
And he just
Batman?
flies out of the building.
Like it's another day, you know, it's just
You know,
super
he
cash.
put that on his Tumblr later, and he was like, "Oh man, I'm so good. Like, they're gonna eat this.
It's
shit.
so hot.
Look how cute.
I know,
Look
my
how
baby.
cute your dick is.
I know.
Yeah, you got a really nice dick there, Tiffany.
I do. We're looking at the page
Got
where
a full panel dick right
the
here.
4 panel of a Dick Grayson where he's like looking for Bruce, and he's like, Bruce, so where are you? And like Bruce is all bandaged up, and like he found Alan Wayne's body, and and Dick's like, why are you still with this? Like, just believe it.
Why do you have a
And,
skull in your hand?
like, what are you doing, Bruce? I feel like Dick is always the conscience
Oh yeah,
that Bruce needs.
because he didn't want to be Batman.
Yeah.
And he's human.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's Nava, to draw parallel to what you were talking about earlier, the guy, the Talon who got out without the serum
Calvin
and
Rose.
thing.
Dick is
Dick-
without the trauma.
Dick-
Well, I mean,
Well,
he worked it out. He worked it out.
He worked it out.
Dick is Batman with a heart.
Yes.
Because Batman doesn't have that.
Mhm.
Yeah.
He does care about his family, but he doesn't really care about other people.
He's not really capable.
And he doesn't care about himself, which I think is a very...
I would argue that out of all of them,
Listen.
he cares about Dick the most.
I
Oh,
would
yeah,
agree.
obviously. There's the most history there, but no.
If it wasn't for Dick, Batman would have become a Joker.
Parents don't
Yeah.
play favorites, but I think he likes Damien.
I know.
No, because it's. I think in Injustice, Batman confirmed
That's
that,
not canon,
like,
though.
oh damn it!
Aha, I got you.
I'm skipping ahead quite a bit, but something I really did want to get to is I love the fact that they're talking and in the process
a lot of
talking,
dialogue
there's
in
a
this
lot
issue.
of dialogue, very much a lot of dialogue in this issue in particular. But I love the. I've looked into the court since then and always come up empty. Well, how hard have you looked though? Deeper than the evidence warranted, because there's never been any. And I just love the continuing it must have been horrible to be Bruce in this scenario, because everyone around him is just like, but Bruce, like, why couldn't it be a thing? And he's like, no, you don't understand. It
Yeah.
can't.
He's like, bitch,
And
I
it's because-
fucking stutter.
Because for Bruce, he can't, if it's a thing, that destroys so much of his persona that he's built up as Batman. So it can't be a thing for him. He can't believe it. And I just love look, Bruce, no one knows Gotham better than you. It's your city. It's Batman City.
Yeah.
And again, what is home? I just love that.
Well, and you see Dick being able to provide the support that I don't think anyone else
Well,
can.
because Dick and Alfred are two of the few people who can actually speak to him
freely
like,
to him.
normally.
They're the
I
only ones that he allows it.
I agree with you entirely, but the difference between, I think, Dick and Alfred in this particular instance is that Dick knows the weight of the cowl.
Yes.
Yeah.
He
he
knows
does.
what it feels like to have to be out there on these.
God, I
on
love
the
Dick Bats
rooftops.
so much. Dick
Oh
Bats-
yeah.
That's the best Damien
As
stuff. Is when
Tiffany
he's Dick's
clutches her
Robin.
heart.
It's so good.
They have such a good relationship.
They love each other.
I love the Dick and Damien relationship. The double D's.
So, yeah, I mean, because we do want to keep these to like somewhat like closer an hour, so I think we should probably like hit the fast forward button a little bit.
Okay.
And,
Can we go to the maze then?
Yeah.
Let's get to the
So
maze.
Batman gets captured. He gets into the maze.
Captured by the Talon.
Captured by the Talon.
previously he threw
And
out a
this-
building.
This is my favorite segment of things, because
really
this is where shit gets really fucking psychological, really.
And
goddamn
this is the
quickly.
best part.
Yes.
of
It's the
book.
best
Oh my
part.
god! It's
gets-
hand-
Buy the physical copy
I
for
love
this.
the art style becomes so much more dramatic.
And twisted.
And
twisted.
twisted. And one of my favorite bits is that consistently you're always seeing Bruce's left eye.
yes.
Throughout the
Yeah,
rest
his,
of
yes,
his,
yes.
throughout the rest
cowl
of what
gets
you're
fucked
seeing.
up super hard.
His cowl gets fucked up, and you're just seeing his left eye, and
and
you
it's
just-
popping almost.
you
like-
just slowly but surely just see Batman, and not just Batman, but Bruce coming out through Batman,
Yeah.
and him just fucking going off the rails slowly
So
but surely.
for a plot synopsis, basically what's happening is that the Talon has placed Bruce into this maze, and Bruce knows that he's being watched. Like, we don't see cameras or anything like that, but he knows that if I'm...
There is one camera.
Oh, is there?
There's
Okay.
one camera in one room, and it's a room full of pictures of everybody that has ever been in the maze and
That's right.
most likely died in the maze.
That's
And
right.
their grave, their coffins too.
Yeah, and their coffins,
And they
yeah.
have one for Bruce.
Yeah, they do.
And then I love because then Basically, the
Yeah.
actual comic, it starts to turn.
It physically turns with
As
you
his
as you're
reality
turning,
shifts,
as his reality
ours
shifts,
is
as
too.
he's going through the maze. You're
And I'm
turning
just-
with Bruce.
I'm just imagining, like, this creaking kind of hallway as, like, in older houses how they shift and they move and you constantly have that kind of creaking.
Yes.
I'm imagining a person's psyche going through that. It's shifting. It's, it's flexing.
He's starving to death.
Yeah.
He hasn't had water.
He's in there for 8 days.
Well,
total.
the water is
Yeah.
really interesting
Yeah.
because
The water is heavily...
because there is a pool.
Yeah,
that
there
he can
is.
drink
It's like
from.
a
And
yeah.
it's
And he refuses
laced with
to.
stuff, so
Because he
won't.
knows.
Yeah,
Because he knows. But then once he does, because he does that at some point.
Yeah, he does.
He has to.
He has to. He doesn't have a choice. And I think it's around this
I
point.
think it's after he does that.
with horror movie Martha, like.
Oh, yeah.
How do you know that name? I was gonna you got it. That name's
Exactly.
pivotal to the plot.
But yeah, you see
Talon
Bruce.
just
And then
straight
you
up.
just tell him just fucking brutalize Bruce. What I love though is that just before Bruce is or Batman gets stabbed, he's going through this process of
hallucinating.
he's becoming the owl,
Yeah.
Yeah.
which I find that so interesting.
I love that. I don't know if like Greg Capullo meant to do that. Like,
Well, this is where the
Metaphorically, that is
Spawn
my-
stuff comes into play
Yeah,
because
this is the
it's
cover
all
of
the
that, actually,
creature aspects of Batman, and we don't see Batman like this with giant fangs and turning into a little owl.
And he has to kind of revert to these animalistic motivations to just stay alive.
yeah.
He doesn't have the luxury of being able to think this through. He just is just this creature who is put in a corner and he needs
Yeah.
to survive.
And that's why that picture with the panel with the owl clutching the bad dead in its hand,
Yes.
like
It's
that's
such a beautiful.
so beautiful.
It's
And
so
really
good.
quick, there's this page where it's obvious that Bruce is gone for quite a while. The bat signal is like destroyed. It's some uni, Gordon, and I believe Harvey Bullock, and Robin shows up. It's Damien, and he says, "What do we do with it?" And he says, "Get a new one." And he says, "Now." And he says, "Now, please." And he looks he's desperate. It's his father. And it's that little humanizing moment we get for Damien that doesn't happen all enough.
Yeah.
Now we get to
The next issue.
the next issue,
Yes.
which what I love is that this first panel is such an intimate thing.
Yeah.
He's
Yeah.
like whispering
Very
sweet nothings.
Like,
to
yeah,
Damien.
no, it's like
No,
it's
it
this
is.
very intimate, like, I mean, even the way like he's holding Bruce's, like he's holding
Mhm.
Bruce's head, like at the like it's this very interesting thing that they set
It's
up.
a little sexy.
And I remember
Yeah,
when
he's
I
a freak like that.
when I first saw it, I was just like, oh my, you're giving me the vapors.
Because when I got this, that was the panel I drew because I just loved the detail and it was just so ridiculous. And I posted online. I remember people told me, like, what's happening to Batman? Like, it was a sexual thing I drew. And I'm like, no.
But what I love about that is that idea of intimacy, it doesn't come naturally unless it's warranted,
Yeah.
right? And this Talon, he's like, no, but honey, I know you. I know how you operate.
I know you
we know
this
everything
well.
about it. I have snuck up on you.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I am
so-
now beating you.
Yeah, the Court of Owls pretty much tells him to kick the shit out of Batman, and he beats him pretty damn brutally.
Illuminati ass.
Yeah.
I mean, there's that was a child, right? Isn't
Yeah,
one of them
there's,
Yeah,
child?
he's a
there's
child.
a
One of
little
them is a
girl
child.
there.
And but still, Bruce being who he is, he's Batman. He eventually overcomes, and he is able to, survive, but barely.
Mentally, I don't know, but
I want
He
to
survives by becoming
Becoming
'cause
the
it's-
monster.
there's Batman, obviously.
Yes.
There's he is Batman, but even more so than Batman, there's the monster that is the Bat.
Batman.
It's
Yeah,
it's
the
like
Bat.
Dexter,
Yes.
the Dark Passenger, and Batman. Well, Bruce's Dark Passenger is the Batman.
Yeah.
But the Batman's Dark Passenger is
Is
the
the
Bat.
Bat.
and it sounds kind of stupid, but it's true. And he's just like at this moment, he's no longer an individual. He's just this
Right.
primal force where nothing can stop him because he's just rage and strength. And
Metal.
that's the only thing he has time to do, and he doesn't have a conscience anymore.
And I love that once again, pointing out the fact that this is the Bat, the Talon agent. After he's been knocked down pretty hard, Batman has now gotten back up and he's pretty savage at this point. And the Talon, I love his lines of just, well, still some fighting you. And look at you, beating your wings, gnashing your little fangs. Do you know what owls do to prey that? And Batman doesn't even let him finish because at this point now he's actually become a beast. And it's just, I know that I am sick to death of owls.
And it straight clucks his fool straight in the face, and it's the best panel with the wham like coming right off of his. It's great.
I hate snakes.
And I just love the savage. Like, this is the Bat now. This is not Batman. This is not Bruce Wayne.
This is the
We
Bat.
have
This
gone
is
past that.
the force that the criminals fear, like the mythical, the legendary.
This is why he gets a Yellow Lantern ring.
Yes.
And he eventually obviously takes down the Talon agent. And in all of this, again, even as he's turning into the Bat, he still had the mental fortitude to go, okay, there's this pool here. I understand it's polluted, but it has to filter out somewhere. So by using my deductive reasoning, I can lift this panel and look, there's a way for me to get out.
Yep.
And it's just like,
A must be the money starts playing, and then
it's just so incredible.
And then he escapes.
And then he escapes.
And then he gets
sort
out.
of.
But it's not over yet.
Oh yeah. But for our purposes, it's kind of getting there. But basically, the Illuminati Court of Owls are like, oh, all right.
Bullshit.
Well, he took out our Talon. I guess we have to get a little bit more.
There's the panel.
Oh,
The owl and the bat.
Here, so why don't you talk about this one?
Oh, let me see. All right, so
You go, girl.
let's go art nerd on this. So the diagonal of the owl wing follows the page, so automatically dynamic, so it shows movement. But literally, you can't see the bat's face at all. It is pulverized. It is crushed. There is no personality to this bat. It could be any bat. You don't know.
Yeah.
So I thought that was cool. But
Foreshadowing.
the most important part about this is the silhouette, because the owl's wings are up, the bats are down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that means they got Batman. So
In
that's
some
my
way.
Yeah,
analysis.
which I love, because they did. They fucking
Yeah, they got
psychologically-
him.
they psychologically just destroyed him.
But yeah, if I remember correctly, eventually Bruce does make it back to the Batcave.
Yeah, he
and
does.
you kind of see the Court of Owls kind of start planning and scheming, and they're like, okay, well, I guess we have to kick our plan into overdrive and really go to town on this fucking fool because he killed one of our Talons. And you realize that it's one of their Talons, which is terrifying. They have this entire Ark of the Covenant-esque troop of Talons that they can reactivate.
Does the Court of Owls have large
The
talons?
And then I love, you get back to, the sweet Dick. And, really showing that this is the only person other than Alfred who can talk to Bruce and Batman more specifically in the way that he does. And he's showing genuine concern and being like, hey, buddy, what's going on?
You were gone for a
and
couple
Bruce,
of days.
And Bruce is just, not having it.
No.
And just,
no communication.
he's treating Dick the way he treats everyone else. And Dick's not having it, of course,
Yeah.
because he's like, no, I have
Yeah.
not gone through this much shit with you
Yeah,
for you to treat me like
thought
that.
you were dead.
And not even
Backhands that
that.
fool.
He backhands him. But
Yeah.
for the reason Bruce actually he gets a Talon and he has them in the Batcave.
Yeah.
And then he kind of breaks the news to him and he's just like, and Dick's asking him hey, why do you have this body here? Why does he look super jacked? What's up? And then Dick's just asking, do you have a name for me? And he's like, yeah, his name is William Cobb. And Dick's like, oh, okay. And then Bruce, the great father he is, he's like, and he's your great grandfather.
By the way.
So it's this whole revealing that Dick was supposed to be a Talon.
Yes.
Yeah.
He was supposed to be a Talon.
Literally right before he got adopted by Bruce.
Bruce saved him from becoming a Talon. And Dick is just enraged. He's just like, what? What the fuck? And he's like, that's why you wanted privacy? And then Bruce is just like, yep, that's just one part of it, yes. And then he's just Dick goes into a rage and he's screaming at him. And he's like, if you think that's gonna faze me, you don't know me. And obviously he's phased, he's screaming.
Yeah.
Poor little Dickie. And then he just fucking backhands him. Not even pimp smacks him, because he has a closed
Closed
No, yeah,
fist.
it's closed
Yeah.
I don't even, that's a bat smack.
Because he needs to knock out the thingy.
Yeah, and then inside the molar, Dick has an Athenian owl, which is the sign of the Court of Owls. And Dick's just like, no.
Is anyone impressed by his dental knowledge to know how to punch him to get a molar out of his
Yeah.
mouth?
Sherlock Holmes.
The exact
That's
molar.
Well, that's what I
He's the
love
best
is that
detective.
he's like, I know if I use a closed fist at this angle and with this amount of force, I will perfectly knock off a
Yeah.
film.
And he knew that
Yeah.
Dick wouldn't see it coming.
Yeah.
Yeah. To be fair, it's hard for Dick sometimes.
Oh, yeah.
So, and then Dick's just mad. He's pissed off. And then this is where the Nightwing comics kind of start out, which I have read.
Yeah.
But then you go back to the court and they're just ready to fuck shit up.
And then this is where you really see, oh, this is an organization that's been around for hundreds of years.
years.
Because
centuries.
They
Centuries.
have, and army.
of
of
talons
talons that they can have regenerated. And literally one of the last lines is from one of the people from the Court of Owls. They say, "We will take back our kingdom. Now go and take Gotham City." So now it's just it's a war for the city.
War.
It's
And
war.
You see, what is that? Like a dozen talons?
That's more than a dozen
It's
talons.
more
Yeah,
than
there's
a
so
dozen.
many
There's
like-
probably
yeah.
there's about like I think 50 or
Yeah,
40.
I think it was about 50.
And each of which is allegedly as good as
Batman.
The next,
Yes.
yeah.
And this leads into the Night of the Owls, and it's gnarly stuff.
which is why I would like to revisit this.
Yes, definitely at some point.
Yeah.
Because this
I'd like
is
to
so
go for the
good.
next.
But
City of Owls.
as it is right now, I think that should start wrapping up our conversation about it. I loved it. It was phenomenal.
God.
Beautiful.
I couldn't
Good.
ask for a better first comic
We
to
laughed,
to dive
yeah.
into.
cried.
Trust me,
Yes.
we could definitely talk for another hour
Yeah.
about this.
Yes.
And then some.
But you know what? We got to keep moving forward. We got to keep looking to the future and things
Yes.
like this. And so, really quickly, let's do one of our segments. A segment that I want to do every week. And It's
Okay.
a segment where we try to convince Kohlton that Superman isn't a piece of
We
shit.
need to get to the is it John Williams, the Superman score?
Oh yeah,
Yeah, I'll put
It's
it
just
in.
But why does he have to be an alien, though? But he's not an alien, though. How does he choose to present himself 90% of the time to other people? Superman is not an alien!
Why is Clark so alien?
Because he's not!
But I was watching Justice League Unlimited. I was
Yeah.
watching Justice League Unlimited
So
with David, and there was an episode where I think Mongol came, and he gave it was Clark's birthday.
Yeah.
And
Yes,
Yeah.
the for the man who has everything, right?
For the man who
Yes.
has everything. Yes. So what happens is when you don't see him do it, but the gift that Clark opened up was this creature that basically when it's a parasitic creature that once it gets onto you, it starts implanting your head with your with your ultimate fantasy, your ultimate dream.
Oh, I want that.
And
It
this
just be dick.
and this is why I love Clark Kent. This is why I love Superman, and because his biggest aspiration, and it's tragic. His biggest aspiration is to be a farmer on Krypton with a wife and a son.
Yeah.
And the thing is, it's. I understand that you can't believe that someone with godlike powers can so desperately want to be normal.
It's not. I can understand that.
Uh-huh.
The issues that I have is it's not just that. It's yes, I understand because I don't think there's anything wrong with the telling a story of a god who wants to be a man because that's an interesting story. That is an interesting story. The problem that I get run into with Superman is it's a god wanting to be a man who is also a man wanting to be more than who he is, who's an alien who wants to be more than just that. It's like
But
why?
the thing is,
I'm trying to help.
I feel like there's such a stigma around it, but if you, I think you're looking at Clark in the biggest issue of Superman, or when he's at his best. But let's assess every superhero when they're at their best. Barry Allen, Captain, I can destroy reality by running fast.
Yes.
But you like the Flash.
Stick his dick in everywhere.
But also other things where it's like you have the Green Lanterns where it's just like, oh yeah, I'm this thing, but like at certain points like, oh, I'm channeling the life energy of the universe.
Look at the
It's
Guardians
like,
of Oa.
yeah, and I don't think it's fair to assess and judge a character based off of their optimal at their peak. I think what it should be is that you should look at them from how they are on average, and as they are on average. When you watch all those Justice League episodes, Clark isn't the one who saves the day most of the times. It's everyone
They actually kind of
else.
portray Clark to be not that smart in Justice
He's
League.
not
and
because
both-
he's Clark's many things, but he's not smart.
Clark's an idiot from Kansas.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I understand, and I will acknowledge that yes, a lot of times I do focus on Superman at his best, but the more point of contention that I have with Superman, especially in this given scenario, is this: you're establishing, his wild fantasy is to just be a farmer on Krypton. I think that's a narratively interesting story. I am okay with that. I think that's great because that actually does make him an interesting person.
Yeah.
A person that makes him an interesting person.
Uh-huh.
My issue is that 90% of the time, even when the Green Lanterns are, oh, I'm channeling God powers or what
Yeah.
have you, that is a person.
Yeah.
I don't see Superman as a person.
But
he is.
He's humanoid.
He has so many.
Humanoid. He's human-ish.
But his planet is practically, they're almost exactly the same, but just
There are other people from Red
the
Sun.
suns are different.
All right, this has been.
Oh, yeah, that's it.
Stay tuned next episode when I do my
But like logically,
Stay tuned to see if we can ever convince Kohlton.
yeah, Superman's decent.
my goal is to get an at least that's neat.
I understand why
He said he's an interesting person.
I understand why he's an interesting person, and I understand why he is narratively interesting.
We're making
I
progress.
do not have interest in him,
Oh, yeah.
though.
All right, but
Okay.
Baby
here's
steps.
what's important, guys. Tiffany, what's our ship of the week? Ship of the week. The OTP is real.
Our ship of the week this week is Towels and Owls.
Ooh. Latest fragrance. So with that, we have Ryan a little longer than expected, but we kind of introduced this idea of Superman being this father character, you know, which I think lends itself perfectly to an idea of Superman actually being a father, sort of, in that of Young Justice. Young Justice with the whole relationship between Superman and Connor Kent, which is fucking phenomenal.
Sweet. Pause it. Somebody bring up that Wham song.
Our recommendation for the week is Young Justice. Netflix and chill.
So tune in next week where we are going
Where we
to
lose our shit because we all love the show so
we
much.
all love the show so
Hello,
much.
Megan!
Oh my god, stop it.
And on
I
that-
would literally
And
cry.
then on that, I think
Yeah.
that's probably where she
So-
Goodbye, viewers.
Yeah, so seasons 1, season 2, we're going to talk all about Young Justice and how it exists in its current incarnation, and we're going to cry probably.
And
because
we're
it's
going
so
to get our Aster.
Clearly you're not feeling the Aster.
Oh.
Topical references. All right, bye,
good.
friends.
Bye,
Bye.
everyone.
Bye. We fucked with comics. Bye.